Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Rebecca. This video will be a collaboration with other members of the CosTubing community. So this collaboration was the brainchild of Bookhoarding with Bianca. This collaboration is loosely based on the Great British Bake Off. We affectionately call this the Great CosTube Sew Off. The parameters of the collaboration was to create 3 videos throughout March, April, and May. With March being our signature challenge, our technical coming in April, and the showstopper coming in May. This is my take on the Great CosTube Sew Off. So come on, let's see what we're up to. I'm Rebecca. I'm 46. I'm from southeastern Oklahoma. I'm here to show what I am made of. Bring honor to me, to my family, and to my cat.
All right, contestants, it is time for your very first signature challenge. This week, your task is to complete a project based on either a free pattern or an indie pattern maker. You will have 8 hours to complete the project. Judge Rizzo and I will be going around to see how it all goes. And your time starts now.
All right, so this is what I'm going to use for the ruffle of my 1860s petticoat. All right, so this is a California King bed skirt. Ordered 2 of them because they were the right price. And I seen this from Lady Rebecca Fashions, where she used the bed skirts. And I've seen this mentioned by other CosTubers too. And then I've also seen it in blog posts and things of that nature over time. Just never got around to doing it. So I decided to take a look, and I found a couple that I could order, and they come straight to my door. Well, the thing about it is the skirt portion, the flat part, is plastic. It's polyester. So I am going to remove the actual ruffle part, and I will add that to the panel portion. I will just get some unbleached muslin and attach the ruffle to it.
From the boondocks of Arkansas and later the hills of southeastern Oklahoma, Rebecca of Knits and Bolts Costume now sews from the urban mountains of metropolitan Oklahoma. She has been sewing from the age of 9. Rebecca's project is from the 1860s, and while some patterns from this period are meticulously preserved by historians, other patterns are not so lucky and rely on designers to recreate them.
So today I am using Truly Victorian's free pattern for an eyelet petticoat. Now her original design here asks you to use 45-inch wide eyelet fabric. I didn't have that. I'm repurposing bed skirts as my fabric. And so I had to do a little engineering to make my fabric work with the pattern. So I had to adjust part A and part B to accommodate my fabric. So I've done that. I have everything ready. I ended up having not enough fabric to do a 2 times my fabric width around to make a good ruffle. So I will be making 2 ruffles, 2 tiers at the bottom. And Then I have my other pieces ready to go.
It is time to check in on the Knits and Bolts sewing room to check on our 3 contestants and how they are faring with their very first signature challenge. All right, checking in on our 3 contestants, we have Miss Midi Midnight. Miss Midnight, what are you working on today? I see. It seems that we're a little bit far behind on our project. And we have Mr. Danny Zuko. He is taking a quick break. Mr. Zuko, can you tell us what is the most difficult part of your signature challenge? Ah, yes, he is deep in thought. We will come back to him later. And what are we working on today, ma'am?
I am working on my first machine felled seam.
A felled seam, all right. And can you tell us why you would choose a machine versus hand sewing?
So this challenge particularly has a time constraint on it, so I want to make sure that I meet that requirement, so I'm using Frenchie.
All right. And it's interesting, not very many people learned to do felled seams by hand first. How did you learn to do that?
I learned hand sewing from my grandmother, and that's just how she taught. And then she eventually taught me on a treadle sewing machine, and then finishing garments, seams were never something that I did. And so I learned how to do that, and I just do it by hand. But for this challenge, it's going to be by machine.
Perfect. It's very risky trying something new on the signature challenge. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Miss Midnight is the youngest contestant on the Great CosTube Sew Off, and you can see that she is very friendly with her other competitors. Other contestants on the show, filled with nerves and anxiety, are not quite so friendly towards their competitors.
So to prepare my pieces to put them together, the first thing I need to do is take my top tier ruffle and hem the top.
Contestants, in a bid to get the upper hand, have taken to drastic measures.
Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me, ma'am. You've got my ruffles.
Others are keeping a cool head, watching and waiting to see how others are reacting to the time constraints.
So I now have the hem at the top of my top tier ruffle. So I marked 8 equal sections with my clips. I will go back and I am going to put 2 rows of gathering stitches between each of the sections. That way I can gather up each section. I'll do corresponding sections on the other sections when I go to add them together. I'll just match up the markings and then we can get the ruffles attached.
Oh, looks like we've got a game of thread chicken happening.
Well, thread chicken won out. I gotta get a new spool.
I need to get these ruffles sewn on to piece B and space out the ruffles. This is the part that I messed up the first time I made this. Here's hoping I screw it up a second time.
This is not the time for this. The time is about to run out. Don't have time for mistakes.
I now have both the ruffles on, and I'm just hoping that they're not too heavy for the waistband. I'm at this step now here. I've got my top of my petticoat gathered and sewed into the waistband, and I will now be just covering the raw edges with the top of the waistband, sewing in the placket, and putting on a button. Time's getting close, so we'll see if I finish in time.
In the final moments of the competition, our contestants are putting the finishing touches on their garments. Alright, so most people would choose to use a buttonhole on a sewing machine. I see that you're hand sewing. I take it you don't have a buttonhole maker?
Yeah.
Alright, so can you tell the audience what the most difficult part of hand sewing a button is?
This buttonhole. I don't know if you can see that or not, but getting your threads tangled was one thing. I did wax my thread, but it still seems to be knotting up, and there's not much time left. And then after I get my basting stitches, not cutting my basting stitches to put in my buttonhole stitches.
Well, that is unfortunate. We wish you the best of luck in the last 5 minutes of the competition. 5 minutes of any competition is enough for any contestant to lose their hair. Mr. Zuko, how are you feeling about today's competition? You've aged quite a bit since the beginning. Are you feeling all right?